Daily Confession. Entry number 12. The silence after the storm. It's quiet now. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. Not the kind that feels like home. This quiet is sharp. It sits beside me like a stranger I'm supposed to trust. It asks questions without speaking. It holds a mirror up to my face and waits. This morning I woke up before my alarm. The kind of early that feels intrusive, like my body was warning me. You're about to feel something. And I did. I felt everything. The light filtering in through the blinds painted long lines across my wall, like prison bars. And I just laid there, watching time move without me. I didn't reach for my phone. Didn't scroll. Didn't text. Didn't check if Jordan unblocked me or subposted me. I didn't want to know. I don't need to know. Because this silence, this is mine. And it hurts like hell. It's not the kind of hurt that screams. It's the aching, slow-burning kind that makes everything heavy. My skin feels too tight. My heartbeat feels like it's echoing inside an empty room. I keep hearing her laugh in my head. The way she used to throw it around like a weapon. Sharp and sweet at the same time. She knew how to laugh at just the right moment to make you feel ridiculous for being vulnerable. I used to think that was charm. Now I know it was control. There was this night, last fall. We were at this rooftop bar Jordan swore was our vibe. I remember looking out over the city lights, telling her I was thinking of quitting my job and starting something of my own. Something real. Something that didn't make me feel like I was shrinking. She laughed. Not the supportive kind. The oh sweetie kind. The kind that let me know she saw me as entertainment. Not an equal. You're too emotional for that kind of pressure, she said, sipping her drink like she was doing me a favor by being honest. And I smiled. Nodded. Ordered another round. Played the role of the grateful friend who knew her place. I think that's the night something inside me started to rot. But I kept showing up. Kept feeding the friendship like a dying plant I couldn't let go of. Because part of me believed I was too messy for anyone else to love me unfiltered. And Jordan, she loved mess. Especially if she got to keep the mop. So yeah. I deleted her number yesterday, but it's not like the memories vanish with the contact. They linger. Like the smell of her perfume on an old hoodie. Like a voicemail you can't bring yourself to delete. Like that damn playlist she made for our Sunday resets that still pops up when I hit shuffle. I thought cutting her off would feel like breaking free. Instead, it feels like amputation. Like I ripped off a limb that had long since turned gangrenous. But now I have to relearn how to walk without it. And I will. God, I will. Today I opened my journal for the first time in weeks. Not the daily confessions. I mean the private one. The one with the scribbled affirmations and letters I'll never send. I flipped back to the page where I wrote, I'm not too much. I'm just too much for the wrong people. I read it out loud, twice. Once as a question, once as a prayer. And somewhere in that silence, I felt her, me, the girl before Jordan. The girl before the compromise. The girl before the guilt. She didn't say anything, but she stayed. She's staying. So here's what I'm doing. I'm rewriting the rules. I'm reclaiming the quiet. I'm letting it stretch out, fill the room, drown out the lies I was fed, and the ones I told myself to make it all seem okay. I'm not okay yet, but I'm no longer pretending that's the goal. Maybe okay is too small for me anyway. What I want is truth. What I want is softness without survival. What I want is love that doesn't leave me gasping for air. And for the first time in a long time, I think I might actually believe I deserve that. So I'll stay in this silence. Let it teach me. Let it name me. Let it hold what I can't yet say. This is not a relapse. It's a reckoning. And I'm not running anymore. Nia. Daily Confession. Entry number 13. The stranger who didn't look away. It's strange, the way someone can walk into your life quietly, without fireworks or warning, and still feel like a before and after. Her name is Riley. I met her at that little bookstore cafe on 8th. The one with plants dangling from the ceiling and poetry stapled to the walls. I wasn't supposed to be there. I'd told myself I needed space, solitude, silence. But silence gets loud sometimes. So I wandered. Ended up in a place where I used to go when I still believed I was a writer, not just a woman confessing her damage in the margins of notebooks. She was at the window, hunched over a sketch pad, headphones half on, sipping black coffee like it was a ritual. And I don't know why I noticed her. Maybe it was the stillness. Or maybe it was because she didn't look up like everyone else does when someone walks in, as if to decide your worth in one glance. She just kept drawing. I sat near her, thinking I'd journal. Instead, I sat still, watched the steam rise from my untouched tea, counted the freckles on my wrist, tried not to cry. Eventually, she looked up. No words. Just a slow, curious glance, like she saw something familiar in me. And then this. You look like someone who just buried a version of themselves. That's what she said. No hello, no small talk. Just that. I laughed. Reflexively. It came out cracked, like something broken trying to sound whole. You're not wrong, I said. She nodded, like we'd already skipped introductions and were now meeting at the truth. We didn't talk much that day. She slid her sketch pad toward me once, showed me a charcoal drawing of a tree with roots tangled in broken clocks. It's called undoing time, she said. Some things die slow, but that doesn't mean they're not dying. I don't know why that hit me so hard. Maybe because for the first time someone wasn't trying to fix me. She wasn't offering solutions, wasn't telling me to move on or stay strong. She was just there, present, unafraid of my heaviness. Jordan would have rolled her eyes, would have said Riley was too artsy, too intense, emotionally indulgent. But that's the thing. Riley is intense. Not in a way that consumes you, in a way that sees you and doesn't flinch. We ended up sitting in silence for almost an hour. At one point, she asked if I wanted to draw something. I told her I didn't know how. She handed me a pencil anyway. It's not about knowing, she said. It's about releasing. So I drew. Badly. A stick figure version of myself, drowning in a teacup. We both laughed, and something in me cracked open. Not all wounds need sutures. Some just need someone to witness them. She gave me her number before I left, scribbled in the corner of a receipt, next to a note that read, "If you ever want to talk about the clocks you're trying to break, I don't know what this is yet. A friendship? A mirror? A test?" But for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to perform. I didn't have to earn my space. Riley didn't ask for my past. She made room for my now. Nia. Daily Confession. Entry number 14. The conversation that didn't hurt. I didn't expect to see her again so soon. I wasn't planning to, but something about that receipt with her handwriting on it It felt like a door I could open without getting swallowed. So I texted her. About those clocks. She responded in minutes. Meet me at the park. No expectations. Just air. It was early evening. Golden hour. The kind of light that makes everything look softer than it is. I found her sitting on a picnic blanket with a beat-up thermos and a copy of The Body Keeps the Score. Of course. I expected awkwardness. I expected stumbles. I expected the kind of pause-heavy small talk that makes you wish you'd stayed home. But Riley didn't move like that. She handed me tea, told me it was chamomile with intentional sweetness. Then she looked at me, not with pity, not with curiosity, but with presence. Tell me something you've never said out loud, she asked. Not demanded, not pried, just asked. Gently, like an offering, not a trap. And for some reason, I answered. I don't think I ever wanted to be saved, I said. I just wanted someone to notice I was drowning. She nodded. Didn't rush in with affirmations or reassurances, just sat with us. Then she said, most people confuse noticing with rescuing. But sometimes just floating beside someone is enough. We talked for hours. About nothing and everything. About Jordan, briefly. I told her how Jordan loved me loudly and destructively, like I was an extension of her chaos. I told her how I let myself be shaped by that, like wet clay in her hands. I think I mistook intensity for intimacy, I admitted. Riley tilted her head, eyes soft. Because that's what we're taught. That love has to hurt to be real. But what if it doesn't? The silence after that didn't sting. It felt like rest. I told her about the version of me I'm trying to remember. The one who used to write poetry on receipts, who danced in her apartment barefoot just because the moon was full. The one who didn't apologize for softness. She smiled. She's still in there, she said. She's just learning to feel safe again. God, that sentence nearly broke me. We ended the night walking in slow circles around the park, not rushing anything, not trying to name what this was. It didn't feel like friendship. Not yet. It felt like recognition. Like when two pieces of broken glass fit together just enough to reflect something whole. Before we parted, she handed me a folded piece of paper. I sketched you, she said, but not how you think you look. When I got home, I opened it. It was me. Not beautiful, not glamorous, just real. Eyes open, shoulders slouched. A tiny spark in my chest drawn in gold ink, barely glowing. Underneath, she wrote, "You don't have to burn to be bright." I stared at that line for a long time. And for once, the tears that came didn't taste like grief. They tasted like possibility. Nia, Daily Confession. Entry number 15. The tiny revolutions. It's funny how the biggest changes start with the smallest things. Today, I made my bed. That's it. Nothing poetic. No soundtrack. No applause. Just sheets smoothed down, pillows fluffed, and a small corner of the world I could control. I used to think healing had to look like declarations and distance, burning bridges, deleting numbers, starting over in dramatic fashion. But I'm learning that real healing is quieter. It's making your bed after 3 days of not moving. It's brushing your hair even when you're not going anywhere. It's drinking water before coffee. It's showing up for yourself in the small ways, even when no one else is watching. Riley and I didn't meet today, but she sent me a message. What's one thing you can do today that your future self will thank you for? I stared at that message longer than I'd like to admit. My first instinct was to scroll past it, to drown in distractions, to keep pretending I was too tired for change. But instead, I put my phone down and stood in front of the mirror. Not to criticize, not to adjust, just to see myself. I looked tired. I looked like someone in transition. But I also looked honest. And God, there's something sacred about that. I made a list after that. Not a to-do list. A return list. Things I used to love before I forgot how. Reading poetry out loud, even when it makes me cry. Lighting candles without needing a reason. Walking with no destination. Journaling without editing. Singing to music. I don't tell people I love. Wearing colors just because they make me feel more alive. I didn't get to all of it today, but I read a poem. I lit a candle that smells like bergamot and rain, and I sang in the shower, off-key, full-hearted, free. I still thought about Jordan. I probably will for a while, but it didn't ache the same. The memory felt distant, like a bruise fading under skin. She used to make me feel like I needed to earn peace, like softness had to be paid for in pain. But Riley's voice lingers now too. That quiet, steady presence that doesn't flinch when I unravel. You don't have to burn to be bright. I keep hearing it. So I didn't burn today. I breathed. I didn't collapse. I created space. And maybe that's enough for now. Maybe that's what healing looks like on a Tuesday afternoon, with no audience and no fanfare. Just me. Choosing something better. Again. And again. And again. Nia. Daily Confession. Entry number 16. When the past knocks softly, it started with a vibration. My phone, face down on the nightstand, buzzed once, soft and quick. I wasn't expecting anyone. Riley had said she'd be offline most of the day, and I've been pretty good about boundaries. But when I picked it up, there it was. Jordan, thinking of you, that's all. 9 words. And suddenly, I was back inside a version of myself I'd promised to bury. I stared at the message for 10 minutes, heart pacing, palms sweaty, that familiar mix of flattery and dread rising in my throat like a swallowed scream. She always knew when to reach out, always had a radar for my strength like clockwork. Just when I start choosing myself, she sends a reminder that I was once hers. And part of me still responds to that gravity, still craves the validation of being chosen, even if the choice comes wrapped in harm. I didn't reply. Not right away. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. Just a you too. Or a hope you're well. Anything to scratch the itch. To feel wanted, even if it was by the wrong hands. But I sat there, phone in hand, and said Riley's line out loud. You don't have to burn to be bright. It felt hollow at first. Then it felt like a wall. Then it felt like a shield. Because here's the truth. Healing doesn't erase the desire to go back. It just gives you the tools to pause. And I paused. I put the phone down, made tea, walked in circles. Then I picked it up and reread the message like it was a spell meant to bind me to something I've already outgrown. Jordan doesn't miss me. She misses the version of me who didn't know she deserved more. She misses my compliance, my performance, my silence. I told Riley once that I didn't want to be saved, just seen. Jordan always saw the version of me that served her. Riley sees the one that scares me, the version who speaks even when her voice trembles. So no, I didn't reply. Not because I'm angry, but because I'm healing. And healing sometimes looks like not answering the door when the past comes dressed in softness. I still thought about texting Riley, telling her I was triggered, that I almost slipped, but I didn't. Not yet. Not because I want to hide, but because I want to hold myself this time, like I'm capable, like I'm not a project, like I'm allowed to catch myself. And maybe tonight, that's the real confession. Not that Jordan reached out, but that I chose silence over survival mode, peace over pattern, me over memory. It's not always easy, but it's getting lighter. Nia, Daily Confession. Entry number 17. The way Riley knew. I didn't tell her. Not about the message, not about the pause, not about how I stared at my phone like it was a loaded weapon. I didn't need to. Riley showed up to our coffee walk like usual, oversized hoodie, paint on her fingers, 2 mugs in hand. Mine said still growing. Hers said probably tired. We started walking, a slow, casual loop around the same quiet park. No deep talks, just air, leaves crunching, our boots syncing up without trying. I thought maybe this would be the first day I didn't unload something. Maybe I could keep it to myself. Keep me to myself. But she looked at me, sideways, then directly. That Riley way, like she was checking in without checking in. You feel heavier, she said. Not bad, just pressed. I shrugged. Long night. She nodded. Didn't ask for more. Didn't fish for detail. Didn't offer platitudes. Instead, she passed me a folded napkin. You don't have to talk, she said. But if you want to say something without speaking... I opened the napkin. She'd drawn a door. Just a simple sketch. A cracked open doorway with light spilling through. Inside the light, a scribbled figure. Underneath, in small letters. You get to stay out, even when they knock. I felt everything in me buckle. Because how did she know? How did she know I'd been dancing near the edge of a door I almost opened again? I sat on the nearest bench and stared at the napkin like it was a divine message. Riley sat beside me, quiet, not tense, not waiting, just there. And it hit me, slow but sharp. Jordan needed me broken to feel powerful. Riley sees my cracks and calls them shape. Eventually, I told her, not the whole story, just she reached out. That was all. Riley didn't react like she wanted to fight someone. She didn't roll her eyes. She just nodded and said, that makes sense. You're glowing more now. Shadows notice that. Then, silence again. The kind that feels like being held without needing to explain why. I think that's the difference. With Jordan, silence was punishment. With Riley, silence is safety. Later, as we parted ways, she handed me another napkin. Blank this time. Next time, draw your way through it, she said. Even if it's just stick figures with swords? I laughed. A real one. The kind that comes from the stomach, not the mask. Maybe I'm not all the way healed. But I'm not hiding either. And that feels like progress. Nia, Daily Confession. Entry number 18. The poem I didn't erase. It started with the smell of old ink. I was cleaning out a box I hadn't touched in a year. Half by accident, half because I finally had the energy to care. Inside were receipts, broken pens, a dried-out lipstick I used to wear when I needed to feel powerful. And tucked at the very bottom, a notebook. Not one of those cute aesthetic ones. This was battered, spine unraveling, coffee stains on the cover. The kind of journal that's more confession than craft. I almost didn't open it. I was scared of what I might find, of who I might find. But I did. And there she was, the version of me who still believed in poetry. Messy, margin-filled, raw as hell. I wrote this the night after she left. I told the walls before I told my friends. I cried into a bag of Cheetos. Don't romanticize it. July 9th. God, she was honest, blunt, ashamed, brave. There were dozens of them, unfinished thoughts, one-liners, some entire poems I don't even remember writing. Some were terrible, some hurt. A few made me grin. But one made me stop. She said I was dramatic. I said I was drowning. She brought a mirror instead of a life raft and told me to smile pretty while I sank. I read it again, out loud. My voice cracked a little at the end, but I didn't stop. I let it echo through my apartment like a bell rung for someone you're finally letting go of. I don't think I've written a poem in over a year. I used to write them daily, sneak them into my phone at work, scratch them on receipts at diners, whisper them into voicemails I never sent. Jordan used to mock them, said I was too much, too emotional, too exposed. Once she even said, "You really think those scribbles will save you?" And for a while, I believed her. So I stopped. Closed the notebook, left that versions of me starving in the dark. But today, I wrote again. Not a masterpiece, just a truth. I woke up softer, not weaker. That's the part they always get wrong. No audience, no edits, no applause. Just me, my pen, and a whisper of who I used to be, stepping forward with ink on her palms and forgiveness in her mouth. I didn't text Riley. I think she'll feel it anyway. Maybe I'll read her one someday. Maybe not. For now, it's enough to write, to speak, to let the softness live again without shame. I don't need permission to be whole. Nia, Daily Confession. Entry number 19. The compliment. I didn't expect we don't talk much at work. Maya's the type who keeps to herself. Neat desk, soft voice, headphones on most of the time. If I'm being honest, I used to resent her, or maybe envy her. She seemed unbothered, controlled, like she knew where all her pieces belonged. Meanwhile, I was just trying to keep mine from falling out of my coat pockets. We only ever said the basics. Morning. Did you clock in already? Can you cover phones during lunch? Nothing deeper than the surface. But today, as I was grabbing tea from the break room, yes, tea, not coffee. Progress. She looked up from her laptop and said casually, "You seem different lately. Lighter." I blinked, caught off guard. She didn't say happier. She didn't say better. She said lighter, which felt true, in a way that hurt and healed all at once. I shrugged, instinctively brushing it off. "Just trying some new things," I said. She nodded. "Whatever it is, it's working. You walk different now, like you're not carrying everything all at once." I didn't know what to say to that. Because how do you explain to someone that the weight has shifted because you finally stopped mistaking suffering for worth? That you stopped answering messages from ghosts? That you started writing again and your friend draws you doors on napkins? So I just smiled, and Maya smiled back. We stood there in quiet for a beat too long before she added, "I've been trying to do the same. You make it seem possible." That landed hard, because I've spent so long believing I was invisible, or chaotic, or too much. And now, here was someone I never tried to impress, telling me I made possibility look real. Maybe it wasn't about becoming a new person. Maybe it was about becoming honest enough that others could see their own reflection in your undoing. I walked back to my desk a little slower, held my tea with two hands, felt my spine straighten without force. It's not always Riley. It's not always some major moment. Sometimes the universe just speaks through quiet women with soft eyes who notice your shift and say, "You walk different now." I hope I never forget that. Nia, Daily Confession. Entry number 20. To the girl I used to be. Dear you, I've been trying to write this letter for weeks. Every time I sat down, I got scared. Scared I'd say too much or not enough. That I'd break you all over again by naming what you went through. But you deserve to be seen. Fully. Without apology. So here it is. You did not imagine it. You weren't too sensitive, too dramatic, too needy, too loud, too emotional, too much. You were hurting. You were surviving. And you were loving people who didn't know how to hold that without squeezing the breath out of it. You thought shrinking was the only way to stay. You thought endurance was the same thing as love. You called collapse connection. But you made it. Not just in the way people mean when they say you're strong. No. You made it because you learned how to stop surviving long enough to begin choosing. You chose breath over burnout, tea over caffeine-fueled anxiety, stillness over scrambling, writing over disappearing, doors that open inward instead of mouths that speak over you. And I forgive you for all the times you knew and stayed, for how long it took you to leave, for how often you confused pain with purpose. I forgive you for being afraid of being alone. I love you for still reaching for light, even when your hands were shaking. You were never broken, just buried. And now, here you are. Hands covered in ink again, heart softer than ever, walking lighter. Not because you've emptied yourself, but because you've stopped carrying what was never yours to hold. I'm not writing this in a fit of sadness. I'm writing it in a moment of peace. A moment where I can finally say, you didn't need to burn down to be seen. You just needed to come home to yourself. So this is it, the final confession. Not because the story ends here, but because it no longer needs to be explained. I'll keep writing, living, loving, with intention, not fear. But I'll do it out loud now, without hiding behind pages. Thank you for surviving. Now, watch me bloom. Love, Nia.